For as long as humans have gathered around fires to share stories, tales of strange creatures and mysterious forces have filled the night air. Myths and legends, born from the depths of our fears and the edges of our imagination, have travelled through the generations, becoming woven in the fabric of our cultures. These stories are not just tales of the past. They continue to capture the collective curiosity, even in our modern world. But where do these stories come from? Are they merely the products of superstition and fear? Or do they hint at something more? Something lurking just out of sight, waiting to be discovered? Across the world, every culture has its own legends of cryptids and mythical beings. Creatures that defy explanation, that blur the line between myth and reality. In the misty highlands of Scotland, there are whispers of water horses that lure the unweary away to a watery grave. In the dense forests of Appalachia, people speak of a man-sized bird with glowing red eyes, an omen of disaster. And in the remote corners of the world, there are still those who claim to have seen monsters from the ancient past. This journey will take us deep into the heart of these legends, across the oceans and continents, through space and time, to places where the veil between the known and the unknown is thin. We will explore the stories that have terrified and fascinated generations. Join us as we delve into the world of local myths and cryptids, where every shadow hides a secret, and every whisper carries a warning. From the eerie waters of Loch Ness to the haunted forests of Scandinavia, from the desolate plains of Africa to the mountains of Japan. These are the stories that have stood the test of time, that continue to haunt our dreams and fuel our fears. This is a journey into the unknown, where the myth meets reality, and the line between the two is often blurred. Welcome to the world of myths and cryptids. The Orkney Islands, a place where the boundary between the natural and the supernatural is thin, where ancient stones whisper forgotten secrets, and the sea harbours creatures beyond our understanding. Among these islands, one name strikes fear into the hearts of those who hear it: Knuckle V. The Knuckle V is no ordinary beast. Born from the darkest corners of Orcadian folklore, it is a creature of pure malevolence, a monstrous fusion of man and horse, with skinless raw flesh that seeps with the corruption it brings. This abomination is not just feared for its appearance, but for the death and disease that follows in its wake. Legend has it that the Knuckle V was once confined to the sea, but something, perhaps a curse or a broken pact, drove it onto land, where it became a scourge upon the living. Its breath is said to wilt crops, its touch to spread plague, and wherever it went, it only left suffering in its path. For the people of Orkney, the Knuckle V is not just a story, but a very real threat. In the long dark winters, when the sea churned angrily against the cliffs, the old tales would come alive. Families would huddle close, telling and retelling the story of Tamas, the lone farmer who came face to face with the beast. It was a night much like this one, dark with a cold wind blowing in from the sea. Tamas was returning home from his work in the fields when he felt it. A presence behind him. At first he thought it was just the wind, but when he heard it, the sound of hooves, heavy and slow, and the stench that came with it, like something long dead. Tamas knew in the stories, knew that the Knuckle V could not be outrun. It was a creature of pure evil, relentless in its pursuit. But Tamas also knew of one weakness: fresh water. With the beast closing in, he made for the nearest stream, praying it would be enough to save him. The Knuckle V's hatred of fresh water is a curious detail, one that scholars believe may hint at its origins. In many cultures, water is a symbol of purification and life, a force that repels evil. Perhaps the Knuckle V, a creature born of death and decay, could not endure the purity of the fresh stream. But whatever the reason, Tamas's quick thinking saved his life that night, and his story has served as a warning to all that hear it. They say the Knuckle V is still out there, waiting for the right moment to rise again. So remember, when the nights are long and the winds are cold, keep close to the earth and always be wary of what may be lurking in the shadows. Deep in the heart of the Scottish Highlands lies the body of water unlike any other. Loch Ness, a vast dark expanse that stretches for 23 miles. Loch Ness has long been a place of mystery and legend. Beneath its tranquil surface, locals and visitors alike believe something ancient and elusive lurks, a creature known around the world as the Loch Ness Monster. The legend of the Loch Ness Monster, or Nessie as it is also known, has captured the imagination of millions. But this is no modern myth. Stories of a strange beast in Loch Ness date back nearly 1500 years, to the time of the early Christian missionary, St. Columba. It was in the year 656 AD when St. Columba is said to have encountered a water beast in the River Ness, a creature that threatened to devour a local man. With a simple command, Columba is said to have driven the beast away, marking it the first recorded sighting of the Loch Ness Monster. For centuries, the story of the Loch Ness Monster remained part of local folklore, whispered among the people of the Highlands. But it wasn't until the 20th century, with the advent of modern technology and media, that Nessie would become a global phenomenon. The year was 1933, when the modern legend truly began. George Splicer and his wife, driving along the newly completed road beside Loch Ness, reported seeing a large prehistoric-looking creature crossing in front of their car, before disappearing into the loch. Their account, followed by numerous others, sparked a media frenzy and the world's enduring obsession with Nessie. But it was this photograph, taken by London gynaecologist Robert Kenneth Wilson, that truly cemented Nessie's place in popular culture. Though the surgeon's photograph would later be revealed as a hoax, it captured the imagination of millions and remains one of the most famous images associated with the Loch Ness Monster. Over the decades, countless expeditions have been launched to uncover the truth about the Loch Ness Monster. From sonar scans to underwater photography, each effort has added to the mystique of Loch Ness, but the creature itself remains elusive as ever. Despite the advances in technology, Loch Ness guards its secrets well. The Loch is nearly 800 feet deep, and its waters are murky, filled with peat, making it difficult to see more than a few feet below the surface. It's the perfect hiding place for a creature of legend. So what could Nessie be? Some believe it's a surviving plesiosaurus, a marine reptile from the age of the dinosaurs. Others suggest it could be a giant eel, a misidentified wave pattern, or even a mass hallucination, fueled by the power of suggestion. Yet despite the theories, the mystery remains unsolved. For many, Nessie is more than just a legend. It's a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that there are still mysteries in the world that science has yet to explain. The Loch Ness Monster embodies the human desire to believe in the extraordinary, to find wonder in a world increasingly defined by rationality and reason. Perhaps that's why, despite its scepticism, despite the hoaxes and the failed expeditions, people continue to come to Loch Ness. They come in search of a glimpse of the unknown, a chance to connect with something ancient, something mysterious, something that has eluded us for centuries. Whether Nessie is real or simply a product of our imagination, the Loch Ness Monster will continue to haunt the depths of our collective consciousness, a symbol of the mysteries that still exist in our world. And as long as there are those who believe, Nessie will never truly disappear. Scotland's lochs are places of serene beauty, but beneath their calm surfaces, ancient forces are said to dwell. Of all of the creatures in Scottish folklore, there are few as feared or as deceptive as the Kelpy, the shape-shifting water spirit that lures the unwary into a watery grave. Kelpies are not just stories meant to entertain. They are warnings passed down through generations about the dangers of the lochs and rivers that crisscross the land. For centuries, tales of these malevolent spirits have haunted the Highlands, a reminder of the perils that lie hidden in the still waters. In Scottish legend, the Kelpy most often takes the form of a beautiful black horse, its mane dripping with water. It appears gentle, even inviting, standing by the loch side, waiting for a traveller to mount its back. But the moment that they do, the Kelpy's true nature is revealed as it plunges into the depths, dragging its rider down into the cold, dark waters, never to be seen again. Many who encounter the Kelpy are said to fall under its spell, enchanted by its beauty and grace. But this is a deadly illusion, a trap set by the spirit to lure its victims into the loch's dark embrace. The tale of the Kelpy serves as a stark warning, a reminder to respect the lochs and rivers and to be wary of their hidden dangers. But the Kelpy is not just a horse, it's a shapeshifter, capable of taking many forms to achieve its sinister ends. In some stories, the Kelpy appears as a beautiful woman, her long hair wet and flowing, her voice as soothing as the ripples on the loch. She sings to those who wander too close, drawing them in with her song, before pulling them under, where they are lost forever in the loch's cold embrace. The Kelpy is a fascinating figure in Scottish mythology, representing the untamed power of nature, particularly water. Water has always been a double-edged sword in Scotland. Essential for life, but also a force of destruction. The Kelpy embodies that duality, reminding us that nature, while beautiful, can also be dangerous and unforgiving. The Kelpy's legend is deeply rooted in the Scottish landscape, a reflection of the people's relationship with the environment. In a land where water is both a giver and taker of life, the Kelpy is a personification of the dangers that lie within the natural world. The fear of the Kelpies has left its mark on the culture and traditions of Scotland. In some communities it is customary to avoid certain lochs after dark, and to offer small tokens or prayers to appease the spirits of the water, hoping to keep the Kelpies at bay. Today the Kelpy remains a powerful symbol in Scottish folklore, a reminder that beneath the beauty of the Highlands lies the wilderness that cannot be tamed, where ancient forces still hold sway, and where the line between myth and reality is often blurred. The Scottish Highlands, a land of untamed beauty, where ancient mountains rise against the sky and deep forests whisper with the secrets of the past. But as night falls, the beauty and the landscape takes a darker hue, for the Highlands are also home to creatures of legend, beings that emerge from the shadow, drawn by the scent of blood. Among them is the Bavan, a vampire spirit that preys on the unwary, luring them to their doom with beauty and grace. In the remote and isolated Highlands, the Bavan is a creature of nightmares, often described as a stunningly beautiful woman dressed in green. Her appearance both enchanting and otherworldly. But beneath this alluring exterior lies a deadly predator. One that feeds not with fangs, but with long, sharp nails that can slice through flesh as easy as a knife through butter. According to legend, the Bavan appears to travellers and hunters in the wild, offering them warmth and comfort in the cold, lonely night. She dances with them, sings to them, drawing them ever closer, until they are within her grasp. Then, with a flash of her nails, she strikes, draining the life from her victim before disappearing into the night, leaving only a bloodless corpse behind. In the Highlands, where the nights are long and the winters harsh, tales of the Bavan have served as warnings to those who travel alone. The legend is deeply rooted in the fears of isolation and the unknown, embodying the dangers that lurk in the wilderness, waiting for those who let their guard down. It was many years ago, when I was just a lad. My father used to tell us stories of the Bavan, how she would come for those who strayed too far from home, or those who were too proud to heed the warnings of the old folk. One night, my uncle, a hunter, went out into the forest alone. He never came back. We found him the next morning, lying cold and still, his face as pale as the moon, but with not a drop of blood left in him. The elders said it was the Bavan who took him, drawn by his boldness, by his defiance of the old ways. The Bavan is more than just a ghost story. She is a manifestation of the Highlanders' relationship with the land. A land that is both beautiful and deadly, where survival depends on respect for the old traditions and a keen awareness of the dangers that lie beyond the firelight. In some stories, the Bavan can be driven away by the coming of dawn, or by invoking the name of a saint. But more often than not, those who encounter her are not so fortunate. For the Bavan is a creature of the night, a predator born of darkness, and those who fall under her spell rarely live to tell the tale. The legend of the Bavan is a reminder that even in a land as beautiful as the Highlands, there is darkness. A darkness that takes many forms, and that has shaped the lives and the stories of the people who call this place home. The Bavan with her deadly beauty and her thirst for blood, is one of the most haunting figures in Scottish folklore, a symbol of the dangers that lie hidden in the shadows of the past. Far to the north, where the sea meets the sky in an endless horizon, lie the Shetland Islands. Remote, windswept, and steeped in ancient tradition. Here, in this land of wide open spaces and long quiet nights, lives a creature unlike any other in Scottish folklore. It is neither monster nor man, but something in between. A being known as the Wilver. The Wilver is a solitary creature, often described as having the body of a man and the head of a wolf. But unlike the fearsome werewolves of other legends, the Wilver is not a cursed or malevolent being. Instead, it is a gentle spirit, known for its kindness and its desire to help those in need. The Wilver is said to live alone in a simple cave, often found fishing in the lochs and rivers of Shetland. It is a creature of habit, following the rhythms of the natural world, living quietly alongside the people of the islands without ever seeking to harm them. In fact, the Wilver is known to be a friend of those in need. According to local legend, it would often leave fish on the windowsills of poor families, ensuring that no one in the village went hungry. This act of quiet generosity has earned the Wilver a place of respect and affection. The Wilver was always there, in the background, watching over us. My grandmother used to tell me that if we were ever in trouble, the Wilver would help us. Even if we never saw him, he was a part of our world, just as much as the sea and the sky. And while we never took him for granted, we knew he was always there for us, quietly making sure we had what we needed. The Wilver's cave, known as the Wilver's Hool, is said to be a place of solitude, where the creature finds peace in the isolation of the wild. It is here where the Wilver lives out its days, fishing, watching, and quietly helping those in need. The Wilver's gentle nature and its connection to the natural world have made it a symbol of the harmony that can exist between humans and the mysterious forces that inhabit the earth. In a world filled with dark and dangerous creatures, the Wilver stands apart as a beacon of kindness and compassion. It is a reminder that not all spirits are to be feared, and that even in the most remote and rugged places, there is room for goodness and generosity. The Wilver's story has endured for generations, passed down through the oral traditions of the Shetland people. And while sightings of the Wilver may have become rarer with the passing of time, the legend remains,